What's up, YouTube? Today what I have for you are these DIY Molle panels. These are Molle panels that I designed myself in Adobe Illustrator, and I exported it as a DXF so I could take it to my local laser cutting shop where they laser cut both panels out for me at a pretty affordable price too. What I'm going to go over with you today is how to get these panels installed and what you can attach to them. Alright, so first off, if you don't know what Molle panels are, they're basically a grid system that uses, I think, 25 millimeters of spacing in between each row here. And basically what you do is you attach your pouches or your hardware via the straps. This fire extinguisher is actually mounted using screws. I just so happened to design the grid system where it matched up exactly with the fire extinguisher mount. So that was a plus. These other pouches here, they're just your standard Molle pouches, which you would loop on the back side. Over here, I actually attached this carrying case by sewing one wrap Velcro sewn to the back of it, so I can attach it to the panel. And I got some other various things here, like my recovery soft shackles. That's actually held on using some shock cord, which in the Molle panel design, I included a bunch of little holes here where you can loop the shock cord through. It'll fit a 1/8 inch shock cord. And for instance, my gloves here just held on by some Velcro one wrap. So yeah, this is a good way of you organizing your gear. If you have things that you want to grab very quickly, you put all your important stuff up here, so it's nice and organized. In here, for instance, I have a tire deflator toolkit that I use when I'm on the trails. And you can pretty much set it up however you want. And on this side, I organize this panel so it's most of my recovery gear. So to show you guys how to get this installed, I'm actually going to pull the panel off, and since I already did the install, I can't really show you step by step. I'm going to try my best to do that, but I'm going to just generalize how I did the install on these and go through things like the hardware and stuff like that. Alright, so for this install, you're going to need some M6 with the hex head. That's just what I used, by 12 millimeter. And then you also need some nuts for it, also M6. And you also need a jack nut set here. This one actually came as a kit. So you have a few jack nuts. I already used them, so this isn't the full kit. But these will basically clamp on the back side of the panel that you screw it into. It does come with a step drill bit, which actually this one is too long. So on some of the holes that I made, I actually just had to use a Dremel and remount the holes so they're a little bigger. Forgot to mention that you do need some L brackets. Everything I bought here I actually got off Amazon. These are just some slotted L brackets here, which they don't exactly fit the width. Like, it's a little too wide for the screws, but they'll still work. Alright, so the first thing you're going to basically want to do is you're going to attach these L brackets onto the Molle panel first. And you only really need the two at the bottom and one at the top corners. This slot here is actually going to hang on that hook. And what I did was actually just reverse the hook so it's a little easier to hang on there. So first thing, what I'm going to do is I'm going to sort of hang it with the mounting brackets on it. And then what I want to do is sort of get an idea of, on the bottom here, how close I want it to the window. Really, you only want about an inch from the edge of the trim here to the glass. Okay, so here's what the panel looks like pulled off the car. Obviously it's reversible. This fatter edge here would go towards the trunk. and I'm going to show you guys basically how to do the install. Alright, so now that it's hanging, what you want to do is pretty much get it the way you want, and I'm going to take a Sharpie, make my marks where I want the Molle panel. It's going to be a little tricky with these side ones here because you will need to bend the L brackets so it conforms more to the panel. This one on this side, you don't have to bend that much. I would say like an extra like 5 degrees. That one over there, you're probably going to have to go about like 25 degrees more outward. So once you mark the bottom ones, you can actually move on to the side ones here. So once I mark the bottom ones, I can drill those first and then mount them and work on the side brackets there. It's also important to note the one closest to the rear tailgate, you're probably going to need to angle it up like another 10 degrees so it sits more flush. That way it just sits more flush, like more flat on the D pillar. So here are the mounting holes. These are already drilled, of course, but when you guys do them, again, I don't recommend going too close to the window. You should be able to drill sort of straight down with the step drill bit. And then here's this one on this side here. If your step drill bit cannot go any further, you would use a rotary tool and just kind of remount the hole a little bit bigger so it fits that jack nut. So another helpful tip is to actually pre-plan how you want your Molle panel. I would attach everything to the panel and then hang it. So once you have an idea of where you want your Molle panel to go and you've made your mounting holes, again, make sure you do the bottom ones first, and then you're able to bend the L brackets up top here so you can angle them just right, make sure they're flat, nice and flat against the panel, and then you just go ahead and hang it. All right, so I have the panel hanging now. I'm going to go ahead and attach it to the interior panels. So of course you're going to be doing this after you have drilled your holes. I'm going to go ahead and line up the bottom brackets, and I'm just going to start them by hand. And then once I have the ones on the bottom done, I can go ahead and work on these top ones. All right, so pretty much everything's lined up and I'm good to tighten them all down. Depending on how you set it up, you might not have enough clearance to use, a powered tool. So if that's the case, you would really just, have to do it the old-fashioned way and use the Allen key. And you actually don't need a lot of force because, it's plastic, but once they're secured down, it's going to be pretty tight. So here, look how solid it is. I'm actually like bending the panel because it's so solid in there. But that will definitely hold pretty much any gear you throw on top there. I see people mounting water jugs and stuff. I personally don't recommend it just because A, it takes up a lot of space, and it's going to be pretty heavy, putting stress on your panels. But stuff that's pretty lightweight that you need to grab really quickly, the Molle panel is perfect for that sort of thing. Alright guys, so that pretty much concludes our install video for these Molle panels. Whatever you did on whichever side you started on, just do the same thing on the other side. Definitely, again, make sure you plan out your panels. I would pre-mount all your accessories prior to hanging the Molle panel and finally securing them in. Next, I'm going to show you guys how to order these panels. Again, I designed the panels, but I don't make them myself yet. I do plan on making these out of ABS plastic, which I would manufacture myself on my CNC machine. But what you can do with these panels is actually go to SendCutSend, and they will do all the cutting, ship it to you, and all you would have to do is really buy the hardware and get them mounted. So I'm going to show you guys that next. All right, so you're going to go to SendCutSend.com, and you're going to click on the Get Started, browse for the file. I'm going to have this file available on my Etsy store. You're going to upload it. And you're going to see a 3D model of the file there. You can actually kind of click and drag around to see the shape of it. And just to verify, the dimensions that they have on here is accurate from what's in the file. So after you hit confirm, you can select your material. You can see here that they have a bunch of different material. We're going to go to aluminum and select a thickness. You could go 2.5 or 3.2 millimeter. Thicker is better, of course, but it's going to cost more. Here you can see that for 2 panels, they come out to 102.80 for each panel. So for 209 shipped and for 6061 aluminum, it's going to cost a little bit more, but it's probably going to be a lot stronger than the other stuff. It's a little bit more expensive, but you know what, for aluminum being strong and lightweight, that's a pretty good deal. Also, mild steel. Mild steel, you can probably get away with the 304 here. And for 114, that's not bad. 229 shipped. And they're going to give you a couple of other functions if you wanted to add some sort of like finishing touches to it. You can even have it powder coated, which is pretty neat. So there's powder coating options. There's black, all sorts of different colors. The ones that I have in my truck, I painted myself. So if you have some paint laying around, you can always spray it, prep it, spray it yourself. And it's going to ask you to sign up or log in. You can always continue as guest. When you view your cart, you're going to see that it's in there. You just fill out your information and they'll ship it to you. Next, we have the hardware that I used. I bought everything from Amazon. So you have an M6 1.0 by 12 millimeter. These are the flat head hex sockets. And then you're going to need also M6 nylon lock nuts. You don't have to use lock nuts, but I figure why not? They're so cheap. And of course the L brackets. I haven't found a bracket that works better than these so far, that are not as where the slots are not as wide, but these will work. And also the M6 jack nuts. I bought the full kit just because, you know, it came with the spacer nut, and I wanted everything black, so it's going to cost a lot more. But you can see here that some of these are pretty cheap if you go with just unfinished stainless steel, or if you wanted to just buy the jack nuts by themselves. You can actually DIY your own toolkit for it to make it work. And that's pretty much it. Alright, that's all I have for you guys. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up, subscribe, and hit that bell notification for future videos. Thanks for watching.